Hi, my name is Mary Manukian. I go to Burbank High School and I'm in 12th grade. I was asked to be here today and interview Rose Kramer, and it was a very big honor.
My name is Rose Kramer. I live in Toluca Lake for 54 years, and I love it.
Since the beginning of our start, she's someone that always came and someone full of life. And everyone that she comes to, and every program that she comes to, she changes the face of it and brings a smile to people's faces because people see in her what she's all about and the life she's about, and they're so happy to see that.
I live day by day, and I like everybody to know that there's life. If you want to make it, you make it.
I'd like to first start off with you telling me a little bit about yourself and what your life was like before the Holocaust.
Well, we lived in a small village in Romania, and we were 7 children. I was the youngest one in my family, 2 sisters and 4 brothers, and my parents. And one day, we were taken into Auschwitz. We were all gathered together from our home to a different city, and then they put us in cattle cars, and we were taken in there at night. When we arrived there, we all had a little bag with clothes on our backs. So the SSI man came up, and they said, everybody leave everything there and just be yourself. Don't take anything. And all I remember, my mother had a little diamond ring, and she said to me, here, take this ring and take it with you. Maybe you can get something for it. And I took the ring, and I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't want to put it on my finger, so I put it in my hair and kind of tried to braid it into my hair. And that was the night we were there. All night long, we were standing in line. The SSI came, kept on counting 5 in a line, in which they got like 1,000 people in one line. And then in the morning, it was at night. And then some of the kids who didn't know where we were, it was all wired around the area that we see the wiring. So some of the kids didn't know what it was. They started running away from the line. And with that, right away, the SSI came, and they were shooting at them. And they were leaving them on the floor. So we stayed there, and we got, in the morning, they said, well, now we're going to go and take a bath, and then we're going to take you to your place where you're going to stay. So we went in line. There was barracks or whatever, like houses. And they said, you can get in this house. You're going to... No, first they said, we're going to the barber shop. We're going to cut your hair, and then we're going to take a shower. So we all were taken in. They cut our hair, and then they took us in to those showers. And we took the shower, and they gave us a long dress, and black long dress, no underwear, no nothing. And that was it. And they had cars afterwards that they took us to the barracks. And they were taking like 500 people at one time to the barracks.
At this point, were you separated with your family? What happened to your family?
My family, they took my parents. They said the older people have to go one side, the children another side, and the younger people who can work have to be on this side, only women. The men were on a different part. I didn't see my brothers afterwards. But my two sisters were with me,
With you.
and also I had cousins that they came with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we were taken in the next day in the morning to the barracks, and they gave us a place, you know,
Yeah.
to sleep, which was made out of straw, no beds, no nothing. And then later on, they lined us up outside, like 500 people. And then the SSI came, like Mangala and another woman, can't recall her name, Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And she counted us as we were standing in line.
Mm-hmm.
We had to stand in line for about an hour. She counted 500 people, 500 people.
Mm-hmm.
She kept that going on.
Yeah.
And then we went back, and then they give us breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a piece of bread, and we went back to the barracks, and we were there.
What was your daily life like in Auschwitz? What did you work? What did you eat? How did you live?
Most of the time, we were doing nothing,
Nothing.
just having the bread, and in the evening, they would give us a bowl of soup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we had for the
And what would you work?
whole time. We didn't work.
You didn't work.
For about 4 or 5 months we were there. We didn't
Mhm.
work at all until later on. After 5 months, they took us every morning. They were lining us up, and they
Mhm.
were taking us to where they have they were making bomb shells,
Mm-hmm.
and they were breaking the grounds with dynamite or
Mhm.
something. And then we had to shovel the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
We only had this black dress on, no shoes. They were wooden shoes. We would put in a little bit of straw in the shoe to keep us warm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we done for about 8 days, for about 8 hours.
Yeah.
After that, they brought us back in the evening to the barracks to
Mhm.
sleep.
Yeah.
And we were doing that for a few months.
How did you manage to leave Auschwitz?
I couldn't leave Auschwitz because everything was closed in. You couldn't leave on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But we were taken out every morning to the labor camp.
Mm-hmm.
So we were away from Auschwitz, but they would bring us back. But when they start going to the labor camps,
Mm-hmm.
you were kind of working during the day. But then later on, the Russians start bombing. And when the Russians start coming closer and closer, they took us out of there, and they started going away from there and then we would walk and walk for days. And my two sisters would walk with me, and we ran away a few times to little farms where we found on our own.
Yeah.
Then they found us because the Germans came back. They found us, they closed us up. We were a couple nights in
In jail.
And then they let us out. And from there on, my two sisters could not walk anymore. They took out the people who couldn't walk. They were just falling over on the streets. And the ones who were able to go, they were going. So me and another girl, we walked, and then I said to her, "This is ridiculous. Let's get away from this whole deal." We were in a city near Berlin. I don't know how big it was. We walked from one street to another. Then one day I said, "Oh, let's just get away. Let's walk." And we seen Germans walking in bomb shell. They were hiding. We heard the bombs coming. So we ran in with them in the bomb shells. We didn't know where we were or anything.
Yeah.
We were just going along with them.
I've always found the Holocaust to be extremely fascinating and the stories to be amazing, and it's very important to me to get the stories out and remember the Holocaust and remember all genocides across the world. Coming from an Armenian descent, it's extremely important, and I make that connection, especially with the Armenian genocide, and it's once again extremely important to remember the Holocaust, to remember all those lives that were lost, and to continue to carry on the stories and remember all the tragic events and to prevent further ones. A lot of people deny the Holocaust and choose not to recognize it. But how do you, as a Holocaust survivor, deal with the deniers of the Holocaust?
Well, it's hard to deal with them because they wouldn't explain what was going on. They didn't know. And there's a lot of people today who don't believe there was one because they didn't have the experience and they don't know. So they just ignore it
Yeah.
unless you had experience.
What do you hope that people would learn from such a major historical event? What do you hope to send on?
Well, I hope that our children and whoever remained here will learn more about it. And I hope it'll be understood that it was a Holocaust instead of denying it.
Yes. It's very important to remember, and I'm very honored to meet you.
Thank you.
And get this experience, and it's very important that everyone remembers the Holocaust and all genocides across the world. Your message is important. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope so, that they will remember it.
Of course.
Thanks. I'm very pleased to think that so many young people like to hear this by the Holocaust.
Actually, speaking with a survivor is such a different experience. You feel that it's so real and it actually happened, and you make a really strong bond and connection with the survivor, and it's such a different experience, and I'm so blessed and honored that I actually got to experience it.
The interview we have, this is what it's all about. It's about remembering the past and remembering to resolve for the future, that the tradition carries on and the light carries on to the next generation. The stories are told to the next generation, and that we know that we'll always be around to share the light and to give the inspiration down to our next generation.
I'm very proud of the young kids today, that they know that what happened, and they should know. It's very important to know.